when I break through. I don't know what comes next, but I couldn't care less. I refuse to feel stress. There's no fear in my chest.
Bulent, I am so excited to have you here. This is going to be so much fun for me, learning your story about how you came to the United States and your journey being a restaurateur. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to jump right in.
Okay.
First of all, can you just tell me your full name so that I make sure I pronounce it correctly?
Okay, so my full name is Bülent Özel, and I'm originally from Turkey. I'm Kurdish from Turkey.
Okay.
And I came US 2009, middle of the 2009, and then...
Tell me about your childhood in Turkey. I've never been to Turkey, so I'd love to know.
So I was raised and born in one of the city is I can say Middle East part of the Turkey, and I born over there and then finished the high school, and then I decided to go to live with after my father is retired, then he moved back to his village. And so when I finished my high school, and I decided to go live with my parents at the village. So
what did your dad do at the village?
He was working for basically part of the like a IRS of the Turkey.
Oh.
So he retired and then went to his village and being like a farm guy. So he just had a big farm, raised some animals and some beehives, and we have a very small village and by the river. So we had a pretty good the village. So we were over there.
So mostly just animals and honey, or did you also have
so
vegetables
animals, yeah, exactly. A lot of fruit trees.
Okay.
And a lot of the vegetables, and we have big land. But after I don't exactly know. I guess it's 1999. So the government built a dam right on, it's a very close to our village, and the dam is basically full of the water. We lost a big portion of our land. So we moved our home. It's just a little bit above the village. It was just like lake view. It's a beautiful area.
Did you always want to be a farmer, or was that something that just came about?
No, I was just helping the parents. And after my military service went to finish my military, and then when
that's required by all young men, yes?
Yes, so if you are a citizen, and then it's a mandatory. And so it's in my time it was 15 months. So I went to military for 15 months, and I finished in my military services, and I came back to our village, and I just didn't want to stay in the village. And I talked with my parents and decided to go one of the biggest city in Turkey, which is Istanbul. And I ended up in Istanbul after my military service.
What did you do in Istanbul?
So one of my cousins helped me to get the job at Kimberly-Clark, which is American-based company. So I started working Kimberly-Clark as just an entry level, which is we were like packaging the baby diapers and put it in the boxes and put it in the pallet, and then just taking with the pallet jack in the warehouse. That was my first job.
Okay.
But so I would just grow up at the factory, and I started being the quality control guy. After that, I became a machine operator. And when I became a machine operator, so every time, so I got the experience. And 2004, I was just planning to come to United States.
What made you want to go to the United States?
So my brother lives here. He came first, and he came 1997. So he's always talking. He always mentioned about the U.S. And it was always in my mind to come to one day visit the U.S. And it takes for me, it's almost like 13 years
To get to
come-
the United
To
States.
get to United States, yes, because when I was talking to him, he came in 1997, and when we were on the phone, and he is always telling me about the life, about the social life, and the quality of the life here, and I was living in village and just trying to be figure it out and stuff, and how is the life gonna be if I'm gonna stay or if I'm gonna be. I was just trying to decide to what am I gonna be.
When you were thinking about that, about going to the United States, did you have a career in mind or a thought process of what you wanted to be when you got there, or did you
No.
just a
I was
dream
just,
of going?
I was just a dream of going, exactly. So when I started working in Kimberly-Clark, and I just did.
You didn't dream
working-
of doing baby diapers.
No, but it was a perfect opportunity for me because, coming to United States is not easy. As a getting visa, you have to be strong. So it's when it's a different country citizen. I'm talking about like a Turkey. So if you are a Turkish citizen, for you to come to United States, you have to be strong. Financially.
Explain that. What do you mean? What do you mean by
So
strong?
you need to be financially, because if the visa officer want to give you the visa, they want to make sure you go back to the Turkey. You need to be like you say, hey, I'm a strongly working over here. I have a great job, and I'm not gonna go and stay over there. I'm just going over there for visiting, and I will come back and just do what I do here.
Gotcha.
So when I work in the Kimberly-Clark, so I work for very hard working, and I became to machine operator. So when you became to machine operator, so your paycheck basically it's a little bit higher.
Okay.
And your job is you working at Kimberly-Clark, and your social and benefits are very high, and you have to put everything. When you are applying the visa, you put everything on the paper, and you're going to consulate and put the papers together. So when I went to consulate, the officer was asking me, "Oh, you're working in the Kimberly-Clark?" In that time, I thought I got the visa because he recognized the company.
That's good. And it was a U.S. company?
And it's a U.S. company, and the person knows what I'm doing, which is, I said, okay, I got it. So I was just like, and then I became too very confident. And I was like, I said, okay, so now, because I was very excited and nervous. So when I was in the window, I was just like shaking. I was just like, oh, is he gonna give me the visa or not? So anyway, when he
So
said,
everything was hanging in the balance.
exactly. So it was just, and then he said, oh, how long you been working in Kimberly-Clark? And my answer was 5 years. And he says, when did you finish your high school? And I say, I was finished my high school in 1997. He says 11 years. I say, no, it's not 11. It's 10 years. So when I corrected him, he knows that I'm a confident and stronger. Like I said, he just closed the envelope. He says, have a great trip. That's what he told me.
Wow.
So-
Fast forward 12, 13 years.
Yes.
You arrive in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you go in the United States?
So, and the 2000, it's I just want to mention this part. So when I get my visa, and I personally got my passport, and I look at it, I didn't know I got 10 years visa. So I opened it. That was one of the happiest time for me, because I was like, I said, okay.
So wait a second. You're saying that they told you that you could go to the United States and stay there for 10 years.
No, I have a 10 years visa, so I can come to the United States and stay over here. I go back. So my visa, if I don't stay more than 6 months, and then my visa is, it's good for 10 years.
Okay,
As
gotcha.
soon as I enter the U.S.
As long as you
and
keep
then
coming back and forth.
keep coming back and
Got
forth,
it.
and
Okay,
then I
that makes
can
sense.
have the 10 years visa. So, and then I was just so happy, and I went to one of my supervisors. I said, I'm going to United States. And then he told me, okay, so you're fired. I was like, why? He said, oh, we firing you. And anyway, so they fire me. The reason they're firing me, the first of all, I was a very valuable employee. The second, they fired me because the company gave me big money. Because when you fire the people in US, the company gives you the money. So no matter what, I was gonna quit, but it was a big benefit for me. They fire me because I got big money to when I came US, so I can survive for a couple months with that money.
So you get to the U.S.
And I
where
get
did
to
you go?
US, and I came to landed to San Francisco, and my brother lived Belmont, and my sister rented the apartment at San Carlos, so I was staying with my sister. So we came to it was middle of the 2009, and it was a hard time for me because I didn't speak English when I came US. It was very hard for me, completely different culture, no friends, and just didn't know what to do. So
How did you dig deep at that time? Because to come to a foreign country, not speak the language, not have a job, not have a lot of money in your pocket, even though you got the bonus, you probably didn't have a lot of money.
Not a lot of money.
How do you not get depressed, and how did you get your first job?
So it was very hard. So first of all, if you want to work in US, first of all you have to speak English. So I focused my English first. So and as a financially, I couldn't handle the colleges. So I went to adult school, which is the government's free school, and it was at the one of the school at San Mateo, and called San Mateo Adult School. I was over there for 2 months, and so basically just learning basic English, and just a step up. Like if your level is just getting better, and then you step up for the next class and those kind of things. And for me, it was a very tough 6 months. Because couldn't get the job because of I started to work in one restaurant, and they check it, and my English level was not enough, and he just clearly told me, he says, listen,
It's not going to work.
It's not gonna be work. You need to focus to your English first, and then when you are ready, we will hire you back. But in this time, unfortunately, you can't work here. So I went to San Mateo Adult School, learned, but I couldn't get to my English better over there. And I talked to my sister-in-law, and I told her, I said, I need to do something for my English, and it cannot get better. So she was helping me to get the ESL classes at the Kenyatta College at the Rebu City. So that was a perfect time. It was a great for me because ESL classes in the college, they give you a lot of homework. And the teacher never let you to speak any other languages in the classroom.
There you go.
So, and I was just learning very fast in English. And September 2009, and I got my first job at...
What was it?
I'm sorry?
What was your job?
Valet parking.
Valet parking, okay.
Yes. I got the valet parking job at San Francisco, one of the busy street at San Francisco, and my schedule was only 4 hours a day.
4 hours?
4 hours a day. It's between 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. I work only 4 hours, and because of the paper and immigration status, they give me only cash, and I earn only $7 per hour.
Good Lord.
So that was a...
And San Francisco's not cheap.
It's not cheap.
Ugh.
No cars, live in the San Carlos, taking the bus to San Carlos to San Bruno, and then I was taking the BART to come to the San Francisco. So it just spend almost, because on $14 a day, I spent $14 per day. I spend it for transportation. So basically, I only make $14 per day. So that's how it was a very hard time.
Wow.
So but I always say, it takes time to be successful. It takes time to be
and that's
survive.
interesting, because today a lot of young people feel like, because they're .coms and all these types of businesses, where all of a sudden you just have an idea, and next thing you know, you've created an app and you're making all this money. And the path that you took most people, it takes a long time. It's not immediate success, and you have to dig deep and have grit. I know you left the valet parking business and went into the restaurant business somehow. Tell me about that.
So when I work in the valet parking, and then my driving background was great, so no accident, because there's most of the valet parking people they're looking for
Clean
the good
record.
driver, clean record guy. So I was working very well, and he gave me another extra schedule after the 3 months. He gave me another schedules at another parking lot. So when I started working with the another parking lot, then I started making a little bit money. So when I'm making the money, and for me to just go socialize with the American people, and I started going to restaurant, get a glass of beer, and just sit down on the bar and try to communicate to the people, whoever come to bar, and just talk to them and make it basically simple, getting practice in English. So, and then one day I was in one of the restaurants in Burlingame, and having the glass of beer. It was owned by two Turkish guy, and they had the two busboys. So they decided to go to Turkey together, and
The busboys.
Two busboys.
Okay.
So they came to the boss and they talk. He says, we are going to Turkey next month, and the boss told him, I said, if you guys going to Turkey, so one of you guys go, come back, and another one goes. He said, no, we're going both. We bought the ticket together. He says, if you're going to both, that means you guys gonna lose your job, because I need to hire another person. And they said, sure, no problem. So he turned to me and he said, you want to work in the restaurant? I was at the bar. And my response was, if you give me the opportunity to work in the restaurant, and if you teach me how to work, yes, I would love to work, and I'm a fast learner. I said, okay, come back Monday with black shirts, black pants, black shoes, and you're starting Monday. Wow. So and then I started working at the restaurants. So it was 6 dinners and 2 lunches, which is I work in the daytime in the parking lot, just go home and change my clothes, take a shower, and then go to the restaurant. It was a very busy schedule, but it was a great time for me because I started making the money, and I can start to go into Iran and socialize and bought my first car, and it was a perfect time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Burlingame has a lot of history for you.
Yes, which is one of my favorite town. I still have a lot of friends, and they're calling me. They missed me, and I just talked to this morning actually to one of my top friends, and just have a big long conversation. So I just got another text message last night, and they said, you need to come back here.
Come back where? To the restaurant?
To come back and open up the restaurant in Birmingham.
So talk about the restaurant, because you went from one position to another.
So when I started working in the Birmingham as a busser, and then I learned and I became the server, and then I became the assistant manager, and then work with the Italian family, working over there like an assistant manager, running the entire show. So I learned everything. And 2017, I opened my first restaurant at Burlingame.
And what was the name of that restaurant?
It was a Park and Howard Bistro, and it still is there.
Wow.
And I sold it the beginning of the 2025. So me and 2 other guys, we opened the Park and Howard Bistro, and 2024 and 2020 I moved to Roseville. For me, it's very hard to go back to Bay Area with so much community, like going to commuting. I didn't like it to go to Bay Area, so that's why I decided to sell my business at beginning of the 2025.
So just so I'm clear, you came to the United States what year?
August 2009.
2009, and by 2020, you own a restaurant in Burlingame?
No, I came to 2009, and I opened my first restaurant in 2017. So 7 years later.
7 years later.
Yes.
From speaking no English.
No English, yep.
Having no money.
No.
Riding the bus. Valet parking. To a busser. to getting your own restaurant. That's a
Yes.
pretty intense
It's
journey.
just a lot of hard working behind this
Yeah.
7 years. I mean, we're talking about 7 years is a short time, but it was just try to figure it out to the culture,
Right.
learning the English, and then just working, not listening everybody, just working and do whatever your responsibility, and just do your job, and that's what I did. And everything I did it, I just step up and I step up, and the people give me the more opportunity, and people give me the more and the responsibility. When
Do you think
and
that's
I
because you showed up?
Yeah, I showed, and I didn't scared to get to the responsibility. I always take the responsibility because I said, okay, so I came United States when I was 30 years old. What am I gonna do? No education. For education, it's too late. So for me, it's just a learning English and then get educated. It just takes a long time. For me to just how I can be successful in this country. And when I start to work in a restaurant business, I knew it that the restaurant business is gonna be my job, because
That's the way.
this is the way I can
That's the
stay.
path.
And then that was a path, and I always wanted to open my restaurant, my own restaurant, and it takes 7 years to open up. And a lot of people told me, he says, "Oh, so you're taking risk? It's off the avenue. It will be very risky." Those kind of things. Everybody just make it comment, but I never scared, and I open up. And that restaurant, which we opened 2017, still the #1 restaurant in Birmingham.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
now you have how many restaurants?
So, and then 2023, end of the 2023, I opened up my second restaurant at Fountain Shopping Mall at Roseville, called Rose Park Bistro.
I love it.
So Rose Park Bistro was mine. We opened up. So we just put everything is together, and the behind the Rose Park, we were trying to do. When I started working in a restaurant business, I do a lot of researches. So like I see what type of the ambience and those kind of things. So we were trying to open up some like a San Francisco and New York style restaurant in Roseville, which is Roseville missing. So that's why we opened the Rose Park, and we just did like same like little good
I love
lighting.
the design. I love the design.
Good lighting. It's well with chairs, well with the booths, and it's a great floor, and a good wine list and good whiskey list, which is the geography of the Placer County. Is people a lot of whiskey drinkers. So
Interesting. Okay.
that's why before we open up, I did a lot of researching, like because I go all the time to restaurants here, check it out the restaurant and see what's the restaurant missing. So we opened the Rose Park, and Rose Park I sold it this year. So two of my partner, they bought my share, and I sold the Rose Park, and then I opened another restaurant at Folsom. It's an Italian restaurant, which is I learned a lot of stuff from Italian family, which is I
In
used
Burlingame?
to work. No, it's
Oh,
actually their first restaurant was in St. Carlos, and then they went to Denville, and then they opened another one at Lafayette, Livermore,
Wow.
Pleasanton.
And what's the name of that restaurant?
They call Locanda Group, which is the Rosanos family, and the behind the business, Enzo is one of the youngest brother, is behind all the Locanda Group, and they're very successful, and they know what to do. They are great character. They're from Naples and Italy, and they have like a Napolitan style, the casual.
So what's the name of your restaurant in Folsom?
We call Fiori Italian Pizzeria, which is I learned a lot of stuff from the Rosanos family, and I decided to do something similar. And which is this area needs something like that. So that's why we opened the Fiori, and it's been almost 2 years, and it's incredible. One of my assistant he used to be my assistant manager, my Burlingame location. He became to our business partner, and he's running it. He's the face of the place. He's great, and he's doing an amazing job, and we are very happy about the Fiori. And then beginning of this year, I opened another restaurant called Mati.
That's my
Modern
favorite.
Greek. Yeah, it's again, that one is, I wanted to open up the restaurant. It's never
It's
anything
Greek.
like that.
And it
I
feels
want
like you're in Greece.
Exactly. It's again, never been in the Greece, but again, researching, and it's like what kind of cuisine, and I learn, and I have a good knowledge about the Greek food, and that's why I wanted to do, and that's why we open. And then for me to just create the area so they can feel they're in the Greece.
It feels
That's what
like
I
that
did.
completely,
Yep.
and the food's fabulous. So,
Thank you.
I have a thought here. You met your wife in San Francisco, yes?
It's, yeah, Burlingame.
Okay. And you've been married now how long?
We are married 14 years, and it's gonna be 14 years. Yep.
Wow. And you have a son?
Yeah, we have a 10 years old son.
Wow. So as you sit back, having gone on this amazing journey where you came from working on a farm, goats,
Yep, cows.
cows, honey, in a small village,
Very small. No neighbors.
running water.
No.
No running water. Get yourself over a 10, 12-year period to the United States. Start out as a valet parker, get into the restaurant business. Now, I know you had mentioned once when we were chatting that there was an experience where you saw somebody that was from your valet days.
Okay.
And I believe when you opened Madi, was it when you opened Madi?
Yes, that one. So there was a lady and came to parking lot all the time. So one day she came and she parked her car right on the middle of the driveway, and she took her key with herself, and the car was right on the middle. We were so busy we couldn't recognize. We forget about that. So as soon as we got in the car and tried to find out the key, we couldn't find it, and there was a lot of cars behind the cars and waiting to enter the parking lot. So and then I opened the car dashboard and tried to find out the person's information. So I found the service record paper, which is like when you take your car to the service, they give you the paper. And there was a phone number, and I called, and barely speaking English, I say, hello, this is Bulent, the parking lot, parking guy, key, please, key, those kind of things. And she just, oh my God. And then she just
This is
came
in San Francisco.
In the San Francisco. Okay. And then she came and she brought her key. We parked her car. She very apologetic, apologized. And then, so anyway, we parked her car. And then 10 years later, she came to restaurant with her family.
In Burlingame.
In Burlingame.
Okay.
And I went to table. And I look at it. I know her. But I said, hello. She said, hello. And I said, I'm just going to give you a couple minutes to recognize me. And then she said, yeah, I know you. Well, I don't know where. I said, I give you a couple minutes. Why don't you think like a couple minutes and I come back and let's see if you remember me or not. And then so I was just in the dining room and she's looking at me. She's just thinking. And then I went over there and I said, no, I don't remember. I said, do you still have your Volvo? She said, Volvo? I said, no, I sold it like 7 years ago. And I said, okay, so now we're talking about the car. Let's see, I'll give you a little more time.
Little
So I
hint.
just like hanging out a little bit, and I went over there and I said, do you remember you came to a parking lot in San Francisco and you forgot your car on the driveway? I called you, you come, and it was a person park your car. She was like, oh my God, how did you remember? I said, yeah, it's just because I have a good memory with the people's name and stuff. And she was like, I said, oh, you work here? I said, no, I don't work here. I said, what do you mean? What are you doing here? I said, I own this restaurant. I said, you own this restaurant? It was a very emotional time. I'd be honest with you, Elizabeth, in that time, for me, I recognized like
what you'd what you have
where I was and where I came, and then own the restaurant, and I was working in the parking lot, and now I have 40 employees in my restaurant, which is incredible. In that time I was like, wow. Wow.
That's your success story.
Yeah, that was a very good moment. To be honest with you, I'm not gonna say like I am proud. I'm very, very proud. I just want to say it was a great moment.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and then when I came from like parking the cars now, and I have 2 restaurants and I have over 100 employees, which just makes me so happy. It's not about the making the money, being successful. It's just about the sometimes you're thinking you give the 100 people and plus their opportunity to work in your restaurant and feeding their family. It just makes me happy, which is.
So when you think about what you want your son to know about you and what lesson you want him to learn from you, what would that lesson be?
It will be, there is nothing is easy. It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of hard work. And if you want to be successful, I know it's hard, but it will be payoff one day if you work hard.
Bulent, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
I so appreciate your story and I love your food.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.